Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video, I'd like to take a closer look at whether or not we can trust ourselves. Are we trustworthy? How about, darn, did that thing come out of me? How about anecdotal evidence? Can we trust anecdotal evidence? Is anecdotal evidence trustworthy? How many times has someone thrown anecdotal evidence in your face when you tell them what happened to you? I did a juice fast and my asthma went away. I did a juice fast and my arthritis went away. I did a juice fast and my diabetes went away. Anecdotal, anecdotal, anecdotal. As Casey from the Vegetable Police would say, go fuck yourself. Now why would Casey say that? Casey a bad dude? Is he an angry guy or what? What's his problem? He doesn't have a problem. He's got a great sense of humor. But what I tell you, to take that anecdotal evidence and shove it, really what I'd like for you to do is just test an idea as time has come. Is other people's anecdotal evidence trustworthy? No, because there's two ways we can't trust it. Number one is the person giving it. They might not be very bright. We don't know if their conclusions are accurate or not, do we? Of course, the other one is they could be lying. So, when someone throws anecdotal at you, they're either saying you're just too stupid to figure anything out, or you're lying. Go fuck yourself. In a kind and loving way, of course, as Casey would say to you. Listen, we know we live in a sick world. Pick up any newspaper or history book, turn on the news, any TV or radio station, and it soon becomes painfully obvious something's wrong with us. We are not trustworthy. Science is not trustworthy. Science is the dogma of our time and is used to control us. Now, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's a lot of good scientific studies that we can use. But the problem is, how do we know which ones we can? Because all they have to do is look at the evidence and throw a chunk of it out and use it against us. And that's what they did, and it's pointed out in that movie, Vaxxed. We know science can't be trusted. If you rely on science to figure out what to do, you are a fucking fool. Now, Casey's saying that, not me. Seriously, if you rely on someone else to figure out what to do, you're in a horrible dilemma. Horrible, horrible dilemma. But the problem we have is we can't be trusted either. That's the problem, and I've mentioned this many times in my other videos. It has to do with piece number 5. Oh my God, he's throwing piece numbers in there. Don't be afraid of a piece number. I'm just identifying it so you can go look on a schematic and find out where it's at. Oh, it's in that doorway that doesn't allow us to find the knowledge we need. Because we're not trustworthy. We have a malfunctioning survival mechanism. Our feedback system is no longer working because society attacked early when we were helpless and we built up a tolerance to our mistakes. And I illustrate that with a diagonal gateway. 3 stages of knowledge: acquired, applied, manifested, thoughts, actions, reactions, beliefs, cause, effects, belief system, lifestyle choices, feedback system. We lost this, remember? Things we think in the first stage of knowledge, the things we do or have done to us in the second stage of knowledge, and the things we get in the third stage of knowledge. Now, what happens with this malfunctioning survival mechanism is we start our journey off in life on the wrong path with false knowledge. Our parents taught us the same mistakes that they were taught because it's part of our traditions, piece number 4. That's what allows us to make the mistakes in the second stage of knowledge, pieces 95 to 99, especially 95, cooking our food. Why? Now, because of piece 46, that's the false belief that cooking's an art. It's a sin. It's the original sin. So we start off with false knowledge, piece 46, believing cooking's okay, and we make the mistake, we cook food, and then we end up with all of these problems. What happens is we have a feedback system that says pain, 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 warning, warning, warning. After a while, we build up a tolerance to it. No different than the cigarette smoker who takes a puff the first time and coughs his head off. dozen years later, smoking a couple packs a day, not coughing at all. We build up a tolerance to those. And I illustrate that with a diagonal gateway, and I labeled it 112, just give it a number, and that's where we go from the negative B box of mistakes, and we slide upward, and we go into the plus C box of positive effects. This is one of the reasons why life is an illusion, because we're deriving pleasure from making mistakes. But all of those, what I call 103s in limbo, and I designate it with 103 with a box around it, because 103 is supposed to be in the bottom. Remember, there's two main pieces in the negative C box of problems. 103 and 104. 103 is within our control, 100%. 104, not 100% within our control. So what happens, we slide up 112, we go up there, now we get a 103 in limbo. This is what's known as a latent disease. It's a disease waiting to happen, and when it does, it goes down the doorway in between the plus C box and the negative C box. I label that 108. So that's how we manifest cancer, heart disease. It didn't fall out of the sky, it came down the 108 doorway because we slid up the 112 diagonal gateway. Sound complicated? Well, not really, or it might, but it's simple. We build up a tolerance to our mistakes, and what happens is now we have a malfunctioning survival mechanism. So to answer the question, no, we can't trust our feedback system the way it is now. That's why a solid food vacation is so important. So we can gain back our lost senses. And I point that out, that's really important, piece 11. We lost our natural instinct for natural food. But we have to understand piece 12, and that's knowledge of cleansing reactions, because when we go on a solid food vacation, or if we just go to, if we quit making those 5 mistakes where we're not cooking our food and eating animals and eating grains and processing our foods and using chemicals, if we don't make those 5 mistakes, we can still have a cleansing reaction. In fact, you're more apt to have a cleansing reaction when you just do it by eating than you do by juicing, because when you do it by juicing, you make a more concerted effort to support those organs of elimination. And we're getting rid of toxins at a much faster rate. So the problem here is if you don't know what you're doing, you'll feel worse before you feel better. So again, we can't trust our own experiences unless you have the knowledge of what's going on. So we need the knowledge of the consequences. That's piece 44. But most importantly, we need piece 45. That's the experience of the consequences. That only comes when we stop making mistakes and we correct those mistakes, and then we have a positive effect that doesn't come by way of the 112 diagonal gateway, because we built a tolerance to the mistake. So we have to understand what's going on so we can trust our experiences. And one of the 3 main things we want to do on a long, extended, properly conducted, solid food vacation. Number 1, flush out the serpent in our intestines, but get rid of it everywhere else in our body. Number 2, bump up our biophotons. Yes. Number 3, reset our feedback system so that when we go back to eating, your taste buds will quiver when you eat the right foods. At least 50% of the time when I eat now, whenever I eat my very first bite, my taste buds just start quivering like, whoa, is this intense or what? I still have a short-term relationship with my food like I used to the other food, and that's what everyone else has, but that's all they have. All you cookies out there eating dead, lifeless food only have a short-term relationship with your food, and it's not reciprocal. It's unrequited. You love it, but it doesn't love you, and it's going to fuck you in the end. It's going to screw you and kill you. You're going to die, and it's going to be your fault because you're addicted to the wrong food. But when you eat the right food, you'll know it's right. When you eat the wrong food, you'll know it's wrong. That's the beauty about setting back your feedback system. And again, we can't trust the system we have now. But if we go on a long, solid food vacation, reset our survival mechanism, and then adhere to the diet we're supposed to, and good luck, it's not easy. For many of us, this is going to be a learning experience. You're going to go back and go back because we crave what we're made out of. It takes a while to build a brand new body. It takes maybe a year or so. They used to say 7 years, and then Deepak came along and said 1 year. I don't know how much to believe of Deepak as far as where he's at, but according to Deepak, in 1 year, 99% of all your cells have been regenerated. So every day we wake up, we're building new cells. The question is, what do you want to build your body out of? The best or the worst? Mediocre? What do you want? You only get out of life what you put into it. So we have to understand that everything we do affects us, and those effects accumulate, and they're going to be reflected in the condition of our 4 current status factors: physical state, mental state, emotional state, and the communal state, the community in which we live in. And if we make a mistake every day, 3 of them, 1,000 mistakes a year approximately, 50 years later, we've accumulated 50,000 negative effects. Now, we can't reverse those 50,000 accumulated negative effects overnight, and this is how it can get complicated. We can stop accumulating negative effects immediately, but we can't get rid of all those negative effects we've accumulated. That's why we have 2 groups of needs. We have to realize that our body might be damaged. It might not be making everything we need. So again, we have to understand not only knowledge of how to live, but knowledge of how to adapt in order to trust our feedback system. Once we reset our feedback system, then if we're doing what we're supposed to do and we're still not feeling good, that means we got to figure out how we're damaged. So for some reason, we're not giving our body everything it needs, and that's mainly because our ideal diet is only our ideal diet in an ideal world, which we no longer live in an ideal world. And that's why we have this other group of needs. Oh, this is not our ideal diet. Got to supplement it. No. We have 2 anatomical limitations. We have to respect the ones we were given at birth. And we have to understand that we've damaged our anatomy, which means we have another group of needs. So, the problem is if you've eaten the wrong food, you might have become dependent upon that food. But it's in violation of the first group of needs. You always have to satisfy both groups at the same time. And that means the only solution is to go to a supplement. Now, some of us don't have that option, I understand. And we might have to go to something like an egg, for example. If you raise your own chickens, you treat them nicely, you feed them well, they're outside, and there's a way to use their eggs, I guess, ethically. I guess not all of them are fertilized. I don't have chickens, and I haven't even researched this, so I'm talking out my butt right now. I don't know what the story is on this fertilized stuff or not. And I'm sure if I spent 2 seconds I could figure it out, but I haven't done it yet. So you tell me down below. But the point is, if you just take the egg yolk, throw the egg white away, we don't need the protein, but that egg yolk does have a lot of micronutrients. It has DHA, it has taurine, it has B12, it has cholesterol. These are some of these level 2 nutrients we're supposed to make if we're healthy. But a lot of us aren't healthy. And that's why we can't trust our own feedback system altogether. Because here we are eating the right food, but for some reason, I'm not making any DHA. Well, you haven't completely healed yourself from that imbalance of omega-3, omega-6s you've been eating for the last 5 decades. You see what I'm saying? So there might be a time and a place to supplement the DHA for a little while. But you don't need to go to fish to get your DHA. You can go to algae, which is where the fish is getting their DHA. Oh my God, it's an algae supplement. What's the solution? It's simple. You just have to accept the fact that the world is no longer ideal anymore. And we can't trust science, we can't trust our own experiences until we reset our feedback system. And then, for some of us, it can get a little complicated because some of our subsequent needs might be due to some sort of genetic damage you have where you're not able to make beta-glucan, for example, or carnitine. You might be that 1 out of 35,000 or whatever that number is that aren't able to make it. So the good news for most of us is all we have to do is focus on that first group of needs. Stop eating unnatural food, and here come the anecdotal evidence. Boy, I tell you, anecdotal evidence. It's one of those words along with the double-blind paradigm that really rubbed me the wrong way. And I'll tell you why. Because our so-called experts use anecdotal evidence 85% of the time with all their medical procedures and drug usage. 85% of the time they use it, meaning that there's no clinical studies that back up anything that they're doing, 85% of what they're doing. And yet they have this double standard where they hold all of us in this other area of health to 0%. You can't use it any. None, 0. And then they turn around and say, we'll only accept your evidence if it's a double-blind study. Oh, again, a lot of people don't know enough about double-blind studies to realize that's such a bullshit thing to say. Because a double-blind study only works when you're trying to do a study on a chemical solution. There are no chemical solutions for lifestyle-related problems. Most of our problems are lifestyle-related. Therefore, the double-blind study is not a solution to solve most of our problems, or should not be used as part of the solution. There are no chemical solutions. Double-blind studies are only used to prove whether the chemical is fucking up the body bad enough so it can't communicate to itself, and the symptom doesn't manifest. Let's give it this blocker, this inhibitor. Let's not let the body communicate, hey, this drug works. The warning sign didn't come off. Remember, if we look at my 6-box system, allopathic medicine is in piece 106. Remember I told you we make a mistake. If we build a tolerance to it, we slide up 112 and we get a positive effect. It's an illusion. We think we're okay. But then what our so-called experts do is they're in that doorway in between the negative B box of mistakes and the negative C box of problems, the 106 box, not allowing the symptom manifest. It's an illusion. It's a trick. It's a magic act. That's what drugs are. They're black magic, meaning that it's used against us. It doesn't allow the body to communicate. And when you do a double-blind study, you got one poison, and you compare it to sugar water. Why are they using sugar? A sugar pill. Why are they using sugar? Because there's a good chance the drug may be less poisonous than the sugar. But the point here is the double-blind paradigm studies chemicals, sugar. Which one works? Does the chemical work? Or water or whatever. It's the chemical and it's nothing. You can't apply that to lifestyle factors. There's dozens of lifestyle factors. The double-blind paradigm does not apply to our lifestyle factors, and that's the solution. So look what our experts are doing. We're not going to allow you to use your anecdotal evidence, and we use it 85% of the time, and you've got to use the standards we use to prove what we're doing works. The double-blind paradigm. No, you fools. You can't use a double-blind paradigm when there's more than one variable. It only works with one variable. A poison that you guys do, I should be using this finger, shouldn't I? It's the poison you guys do in the name of health. You can't poison someone into health. All you can do is create the illusion that the symptom doesn't appear. But guess what happens when you give this drug so that symptom doesn't appear? You make the body sicker. And more drugs and more symptoms and more drugs and more symptoms. It's a racket. The people who control everything have found the worst system out there for health and put them in charge. Allopathic doctors, you guys are so effing incompetent. And how long does it take for you guys to figure that out? How many of you guys ever figure it out? I was thinking of this the other day. How long or what percentage of doctors ever figure out what they're doing doesn't work? And of those who do figure it out, how long does it take? Most doctors, within a couple decades, they finally realize, my God, none of this is working. People are getting worse. I'm a failure. You're more than a failure. You're the #1 cause of death in America, and I'm yelling because they're killing us, you stupid shits. They're killing us. #1 cause of death. One, they're killing us. Why are we allowing it? Why do they have a monopoly? If you don't understand why I'm pissed, you don't know what I know. We should be outraged. We should be pulling our hair out. We should be dragging people up and burning them on a stake or something. Now, I'm not advocating that, of course, but I'm telling you, we got to get motivated. I'm mad as hell, and I ain't going to put up with this anymore. Seriously, guys, what's it going to take? How can we allow this system to stay in charge? We can't trust our experts that have been misdirected. Take all the doctors and all the nutritionists and put them down at the bottom of the ocean with all the other lawyers. Isn't that how that quote goes? If all the doctors and lawyers are at the bottom of the ocean, the world will be better for it, but too bad for the fishes. Well, we need to put the nutritionists down there also. And the politicians. And the small percentage that own everything. How do we put them at the bottom of the ocean? It's simple. There's only one way to defeat this aspect of us. We have to change individually and change collectively. It's a bottom-up solution. We can't rely on anything at the top coming down and helping us. We just can't. We can't rely on our experts. We can't trust our experts. We can't trust science. For most of us, we can't even trust ourselves. We got to go on a solid food vacation to understand what it's all about, and then get educated so that you can understand what's happening to you on this journey. I'm trying my hardest to offer this information to you guys. I have a video down below in the description box of a seminar I gave on how to do a solid food vacation. I've done backup videos on how to break the fast and how to calculate your calories. I'll be doing a whole lot more videos that will help back this up. My website, I'm just so overwhelmed. I'm sorry, guys. I should have a website up with all this identified and better together for you. I've had some offers for people to help me, and I guess I need to take you guys up on this. The best one of you guys out there who can do me a great job and put something together, I need your help. Help me put something together. Let's see who's the most qualified and who can do the best job. I don't know enough about this at this point, but I do know one thing for sure. There's a big difference in webmasters. I had a real good one when I first started up ultimateweightloss.com. Back before Google was around on AOL, you type in weight loss, I was the #1 hit at the very top. So I know some people know what they're doing and some people don't. And if you don't think you're one of the top, then don't offer your services. Does that sound bad? I should be grateful that anybody offers their services. That's a tough thing to say, isn't it? God, I'm so humble, I think I'm good. I'm really good. I believe in myself. Anyway, I've digressed tremendously on this video, but you can see it encompasses the dilemma that we're facing as a species. We're sick, we're out of control, there's something wrong with us. We got to figure out what to do. There's only one solution. We got to go back to the first mistake. The first mistake is when we start cooking our food. It's a huge mistake, and we're in such a state of denial that we just can't wrap our brain around it. The biggest problem is our whole system revolves around it. So there's going to be a lot of inertia that's fighting this. But there is an idea who's stronger than all the armies in the world, and that's a solid food vacation. Listen to the Dr. Roby interview to get motivated. Watch the Deborah Duncan show to get motivated. Watch my video on how to do a solid food vacation to get motivated. And when you do, my friends, you're in for a treat.